Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. Basically, my last designation was as a software delivery head. So here, basically, we are talking about the formula part only. Basically, this is basically 111th number part. Basically, here we are discussing about the career path. Basically, career path of the each and every basically who are new, who are basically going to change the field, who basically says that I have already done the lots of programming, then basically I need to jump into the management side. So for that now basically few people says that we basically want to start our own firm basically. So for that basically they should be aware about each and everything basically each and every field basically they should aware about. They should know that basically how the market is divided basically like this basically market is divided means basically the lots of management company basically they says that we have the each and every market basically which is in the we have the each and every project basically which is going to win the market and then basically which basically the companies basically are going to give the project basically they have the control basically because they says that we are basically handling the management side of the company basically. So few management groups are there basically you can say. For example, MBA groups are there, Oxford groups are there basically. These all are basically colleges groups basically. Like Harvard University is there. Harvard University basically handles the top level management projects basically. For example, this text box equal to thousand cities basically they only know basically. They handle this type of stuff basically. Their professors basically their senior basically studied people basically they only can handle this level project basically that is basically thousand cities basically has created one text box because there basically each and every process happens then basically it converts to the human needs basically that is basically vegetable fruits one text box basically can generate the human needs. So we can just imagine the basically the management level stuff basically the process level stuff basically each and every stuffs are there basically. So to handle that up to that level basically it's not easy task basically. So for there basically highly management skill is required for that basically the Oxford, the Harvard basically groups, but they only basically can do this type of stuff. So for that, basically, first they start the small software companies, then they basically jump into the local market, then basically jump into the international market, then basically they jump into this human needs market. That is basically the text box equal to the contribution basically into the text box equal to thousand cities basically because they have studied the local markets, international level market, then basically each and every market they have studied, then only basically they can jump into this text box equal to thousands of people basically. Like this, the company owners basically says that we have already completed the local level projects, then basically we have started the international level projects basically. Like this, basically each and every levels of the company management level basically you can say the company owner basically has cleared this level of stuff basically you can say then only basically he can jump into the text box creation basically that is basically text box equal to thousand cities. Like this basically few company owners says that we are already basically done with the local projects, we are done with the international project. That basically his that company owner's resume is basically his stuff basically whatever stuff he has done and up to what level the knowledge he have. So you can just imagine the level of the task basically the company owner also have to do because he should be aware about the each and every market in which company which type of projects is ongoing. That also basically some this type of basically never gets leaked basically. But basically mostly when any company gets the project then basically it automatically gets circulates to the company owners basically. The big company owners basically says that we only have given the project to these small companies basically because they says that we have got this project but that was not fitting into the our budget, so basically we just passed the project to the another small company and then basically we have taken few commission of the project basically. Like this basically stuffs also are done by the company owner basically because they know that to get the project is very how many tough basically it's a competition world basically. And combined competition world basically you can just imagine the competition level basically with that also you can say the tough level basically you can also imagine basically up to tough level basically the projects are done to go. So you First of all, basically your management side should be very clear. Basically, your team should be very much clear. Your team should have basically the technical knowledge, functional knowledge, the management skill should be required. If few people says that basically company owner says that I can handle the project manager role. So for there basically the project manager is not required. So they only do the stuff basically busy. Otherwise they have to pay the money to the project manager. That's why they only handles the project management tasks basically. Like this basically, according to the budget basically of the company, basically they handles the company basically. That also few roles basically the company owner only takes basically, because the company expenses are also too much basically. Like this basically there are lots of expenses of for the company owner. You have to pay the salary of the employees, then you have to pay the, if it's your own premises then basically not required basically. If it's rented then basically you have to pay the rent also. Like this basically each and every stuffs are there, each and every expenses are also there. So you have to fulfill that expenses also, you have to clear the salary also. Like this basically there are lots of stuff basically, you can say. According to that basically you require the project, you require the project, you have to finish the project, and the project has to be converted to the maintenance side also. Because it's like that, the stuffs are there basically, you can say. Because you have to take out the money of the project also, you have to run your company also, you have to pay the expenses also, you have to give the salaries of the employees also. Like this basically there are, and you after paying the money to the salary and expense, then basically you require the income also basically. You are doing, you should your company should be doing the profit also basically. So without profit, basically, there is no need of doing working running the company basically. Few time basically you can run the company. Otherwise, if it's not running basically, then you should close the company basically. That is the good way basically, you can say. But you have to give your 100% basically, because once the company is closed with this basically, then you can just imagine the name basically gets spoiled basically of you, the company owner. So you basically nowadays lots of things are there basically, because whenever you are going to start the new company, then basically your old basically failure basically comes into the picture, that you have not able to run that company basically. So there are many stuff basically. So the company owner basically gives his 100% basically. So company owners stuffs basically are lots of tough stuffs are there basically. So company owner have to think up to this level basically, that he have a good knowledge, he have to do the presentation basically, first basically. So like this basically you have to uh, you should express yourself, the how basically the IT industry is, what actually the IT industry is. You should know basically what is the actually the project, what actually the project is. And for that basically I have given few videos also, what actually the project is, what is up to what level the project goes, if the developer do the project, and if the project manager do the project, and if the text works equal to 1,000 cities, that groups do the projects, and if the energy level companies do the projects. Like this basically levels of peoples are there basically. If they do the project up to that level basically, the projects are basically. So like this each and every stuffs are there basically. Then basically if you see doing the project in India, then basically India is a god level country. Then basically, so he have to believe the god, he have to support the god group basically, who is not support who for example, if anybody basically has done bad to the god, then basically you have to give the punishment to that person. Like that of like that also he do the business. So like this basically there are many types of business basically nowadays people do basically. Like this basically, few people do the business of giving the punishment, few people say that no, we don't want this type of money basically, because this type of money basically might create problem in future to us basically. So few people says that we are ready for each and every stuff basically. So like up to that level basically, the company owners know basically how basically is earning the money, on the which type of task basically he is getting from the set of groups basically, or the reference of his group basically. So like this basically each and every reference is basically from where he gets the project, from where which groups basically up to the level. For example, one college person is giving him the project, then basically the reference of his basically up to would be up to that level only basically. Because he has just started his career and he is giving the project basically. if any company, if he anybody person is working in the company, and that time basically is that person is giving any project to this company owner, then basically his level is up to that level, because he has worked in the professional environment, he has seen the each and every stuff basically. So his contact will be up to that level. If any company owners basically gives the project to the company owner, then basically their level of the project will be totally different. So like this basically the reference of how basically he gets the project, how basically he gets the project from the reference basically. So like this basically there are lots of stuff basically you can say. So like this basically the level of task basically he gets, how basically he gets the project, from which reference basically he is going to get the project. Like this basically there are many stuff basically you can say. From which caste he is getting the for example he is a Gujarati, then basically his Gujarati community helps him basically, because if Gujarati community is not helping, then basically he might basically hates Gujarati community basically. It's in time sometime basically this type of stuff also happen basically, then he might leave the Gujarati community also. Like this basically there are many things basically company owners basically have to think basically. The company union basically owner basically, for example software company union is also there basically you can say. They do the periodically meeting also like this. Big level software, say for example CMM level 5 company groups basically, they do periodically meeting basically, because they have to survive there in the market. For that basically they required lots, they do lots of plans basically. For example, one person basically is terminated from the CM level 5 company. Not terminated basically, due to some problem basically he was not working in the CM level 5 company for few time basically. Then basically the CMM level filing company basically says that you, why you left us basically. Then basically their ego comes into the picture. Then basically their ego also comes into the picture. Like this basically they say that sorry we can't take you now basically, because our ego is coming into the picture. And like this basically the meetings happens of the CMM level 5 company groups, and they say that should we take him or not basically. If he so they think up to this level basically. If they are, if we are not taking that person basically, for example he came to Mumbai in for 4 to 5 times basically. He went to lots of company like Capgemini, Accenture. Then basically the Capgemini, basically Capgemini group see each and every videos basically of the campus basically. And one day basically they views each and everything basically. Like this they might have tracked that basically, that this person has came to for in for a to submit the resume, when we were not able to help him basically, because our ego came into picture. And like for that basically our rules and regulation came into picture. And like this basically they told that sorry we can't give him job basically, because our ego has came into picture. Our software company's ego has came into picture, that we will be not going to give him job, whatever things is going to happen, whether the we will finish each and every software company also, but then also we are not going to give him job. So up to that level basically, if few people have basically, we will finish all the CM level 5 company Six Sigma also, then also we will be not giving him job basically. So like this up to that level basically ego peoples are there basically, but we will not give him job whatever happens basically. So like this basically the ego peoples are also there in this world basically, who says that our ego is the big. Otherwise rest of things are basically going to be it's rest of things basically are into the side basically, but our ego is the best basically. So like this basically like this type of our people are also there basically, because they have reached up to the certain level basically, and after that basically they have touched the that type of chair basically you can say. The CMM level 5 union group basically you can just imagine up to the level basically their income minimum basically you can say 100 crore basically is the income, because CMM level 5 companies each and every project basically are jumping into the human needs creation basically. So for example, one software company told that we are into the basically creation of Apple. So basically, one Apple cost itself 30 rupees, 35 rupees, 35 rupees you can say, for costing the one Apple basically you can say. So if one Apple is costing 35 rupees, if he is producing 1 crore, 10 crore apples, then basically you just imagine for the level of income more than crores of basically amount basically comes into the picture. So like this basically from one apple, basically one software which has generated one apple, generated one apple, it's generating more than crores of rupees basically. Yes. So just you can imagine the income level of the CMM level 5 company also, because up to that level basically income has. So basically if the software company director and the vice president and CEO, basically they are getting the good level of income, basically more than 100 crores basically they are getting, because their other incomes are also there, like this basically commission of this apple, basically human needs commission are there, then like this basically lots of incomes are there. So basically there, if the income gets low too much high basically, then basically you can just imagine the ego level basically. So basically they told that they will not give him job. So like this basically we will finish each and every software companies, but we will not giving him job. So like this basically ego comes into the picture. Like this lots of stuffs are there basically for the company's owner. So basically, this ego is of the company owner. Basically, I'm telling you, company owners basically, because vice president and CEO basically directly don't take any decision of the any candidates. Basically. Even basically, if he's a 1 year experienced person, basically, then also they can't take the decision without the company owner decision. Basically, that's basically the rules. Basically, rules and regulation. Basically, so company owner basically comes into the picture. So like this, basically, company owners' egos are also there. Basically, we can say. So like this, basically, we are stopping here. This is basically 111 part. In 112, basically, we are going to little bit talk about the company's owners and their egos.